Many years ago, in a small village, there lived a girl named Maria. Some say that she was the most beautiful girl in the world, and because she was so beautiful, Maria thought that she was better than everyone else. As Maria grew older, her beauty and pride grew as well. When she was a young woman, she would not even look at the young men from her village. They weren't good enough for her. "When I marry," Maria would say, "I will marry the most handsome man in the world." And then one day, into Maria's village rode a man who seemed to be just perfect. He was a dashing young man who was the son of a wealthy rancher from the southern plains. In fact, if he owned a horse and it grew tame, he would give it away and go rope a wild horse from the plains. He thought it wasn't manly enough to ride a horse if it wasn't half wild. He was handsome, and he could play the guitar and sing beautifully. Maria made up her mind that this was the man for her, and she knew just the way to win his attention. If the man spoke when they met along the path, she would turn her head away. When he came to her house in the evening to play his guitar and serenade her, she wouldn't even go to the window. She refused all his costly gifts, and the young man fell for her tricks. "That girl, Maria," he said to himself, "I swear I will marry her." And so everything turned out just as Maria had planned. Before long, she and the handsome man became engaged, and soon they were married. At first, things were fine. They had 2 beautiful children, and they seemed to be a happy family. But after a few years, her husband went back to the wildlife of the prairies. He would leave town and be gone for months at a time. And when he returned home, it was only to visit his children. He seemed to care nothing for Maria. He even talked about setting her aside and marrying a woman of his own wealth. As proud as Maria was, of course she became angry with him. She also began to feel anger and jealousy towards her children, because he paid attention to them but just ignored her. One evening, as Maria was strolling with her 2 children on the path near the river, the man came by in a carriage, an elegant lady sitting beside him. He stopped and spoke to his children, but he didn't even look at Maria. When he rode off, a terrible rage filled her, and she turned against her children. Though it is sad to say, in her anger, Maria seized her children and threw them into the river. But as they disappeared down the stream, she realized what she had done. She ran down the riverbank, reaching out her arms to them, but they were long gone. The next day, a traveler brought word to the village that a beautiful woman lay dead on the riverbank. That's where they found Maria, and they laid her to rest where she had fallen. But the first night Maria was in her grave, the villagers heard the sound of crying down by the river. It wasn't the wind, it was Llorona crying, "Where are my children? Where are my children?" And they saw a woman walking along the bank of the river, dressed in a white dress, the way Maria had been dressed for her burial. On many a dark night they saw her walking along the riverbank, crying for her children. And so they no longer spoke of her as Maria. They now called her La Llorona, the weeping woman. And by that name she is known to this day. Children are warned not to go out in the dark, for La Llorona might snatch them and never return them.